Welcome in this video of the House of Asian Cinema. Before becoming a subject of jokes and a staple of the direct-to-video world, Jean-Claude Van Damme was a major action star in Hollywood. For about 10 years, he was almost the equal of the heavyweights of the genre that were Arnold Schwarzenegger
Knock, knock.
and Sylvester Stallone. But as important as Hollywood was, Hong Kong has also played a major part in the Muscles from Brussels career. Like many other youngsters of his generation, the young Jean-Claude was influenced by Bruce Lee after having seen him in Enter the Dragon. The Hong Kong star became his idol, and Jean-Claude plastered his room with posters of the Little Dragon. This inspiration would regularly come up later in unfulfilled projects of the star, such as this hypothetical sequel remake of Enter the Dragon. In 1979, at the age of 19, the young man, still only known as Jean-Claude Van Damme, came to Hong Kong to try his chance as a model, and of course with the ambition to become an action star. He knocked on the door of IFD, from the infamous Joseph Lie, which would later make a reputation for itself with its ninja films and its two-in-one policy. Unfortunately, or not, the company didn't take an interest in his profile. Disappointed, the young man went back to his native Belgium and put his cinematic ambition aside for a few years. At the beginning of the 80s, he moved to Hollywood. To make its mark in the highly competitive Los Angeles film industry was not easy, and while waiting for the right opportunity, the Belgium national survived doing small jobs or appearing as an extra in a few productions. Interestingly, it would be Hong Kong which would give him the possibility to make an impact in the movie world. The 80s were a time of world ambition for the Hong Kong film industry. At the forefront of this phenomenon, we found Golden Harvest, still emboldened by the incredible worldwide popularity of Bruce Lee. Some minor companies also tried to break into the Western market. Amongst them, the Seasonal from the influent Si-Yun. Triggered by the success of The Karate Kid, which Si-Yun saw as a bad imitation of the production he had made for years, the Hong Kong mogul decided to make martial arts films set in a typical Hollywood environment and with American actors, but with Hong Kong specialists behind the camera. With this formula in mind, he produced No Retreat, No Surrender in 1986, directed by Corey Yun, in which a young Californian teenager learns martial arts under the guidance of Bruce Lee's ghost. Jean-Claude Van Damme found here his first major part, being Ivan, the kickboxing equivalent of Rocky IV's Ivan Drago.
If he dies, he dies.
The young actor proved he could fulfill the high standards of the Hong Kong-style choreographies, even if his tendency to really eat his partners didn't make him any favors with the rest of the American crew. The film offered us a glimpse of what could have been if its first attempt to become an action star in the Hong Kong film industry had been successful. The movie was a commercial success for Seasonal, and Jean-Claude Van Damme signed for 3 more films under the company's leadership. The first of them was supposed to be No Retreat, No Surrender sequel, Raging Thunder, a kung fu version of the Rambo 2 copies so popular back then. But the actor broke his contract for another film in which he would have the main part, Bloodsport. A good choice, as the film would be the game changer Van Damme was aspiring for. Jean-Claude is Frank Dux, a martial artist who joins the Kumite, an underground international competition to crown the best martial artist in the world. Shot in Hong Kong and with a cast and crew mostly hired locally, the film is a true showcase for Van Damme's athleticism and the perfect vehicle to highlight his boyish charm. An entire generation would end up traumatized after its viewing and would make him their idol. His following film, Kickboxer, in which he learns Thai boxing to avenge the defeat of his brother from the cruel Tong Po, is the last nail in the coffin for the audience. Jean-Claude Van Damme is the Western Bruce Lee. And once again, that's thanks to Hong Kong. Kickboxer having been partly shot in the British colony and benefits as its predecessor from the expertise of the Hong Kong actors and stuntmen involved.
Jean-Claude Van Damme.
The early 90s were a crucial time for Van Damme's career. That was when he would reach the pinnacle of his stardom and when he would plant the seeds of his upcoming fall. Once again, Hong Kong was instrumental in this configuration. The first hints of what the future would be could be detected in Double Impact. The film was a real ego trip for the actor who plays twins with opposite personalities in their fight against the triad responsible for the death of their parents. Once again shot in Hong Kong, Double Impact was the illustration of the struggle between the two personalities of the actor and the gradual disappearance of Jean-Claude Van Damme, the enthusiastic and passionate Belgium native, to the benefit of JCVD, the self-centered Hollywood star. But if his head got bigger and bigger, his career was still ascending. The peak was reached thanks to the commercial successes of Universal Soldier and Street Fighter. Van Damme would then use his star power to select the directors he wanted to work with. His love for Hong Kong would be apparent once again. Hong Kong cinema's golden age was coming to a close with the approaching handover, and many Hong Kong filmmakers were seriously thinking about working elsewhere. The first to do so, through Van Damme, was John Woo. The result of their collaboration was a remake of the most dangerous game, Hard Target, in which the Belgium native is the prey of a band of extremist hunters. The film has some typical action scenes from Woo, but its shooting was hampered by the difficult relationship between the two men. Jean-Claude Van Damme always insisting to have more close-ups. Despite this conflict, Hard Target is still one of the best films of the action style. If that put an end to their collaboration, Van Damme kept drawing from the British colony's pool of talent. With the iconoclast Tsui Hark, he made Double Team, playing a secret agent who wants to take revenge from an international terrorist, and Knockoff, in which he is a fake gin seller finding himself involved in the CIA manipulation at the eve of the handover. This last film being the cinematic reunion for the actor with the city since Double Impact 7 years earlier. Two very uneven movies which suffered from the personal problem of its star, then strongly addicted to drugs and in a complicated divorce procedure. But he finally found a director able to control him in Ringo Lam. Their first collaboration, Maximum Risk, in which he is a policeman investigating the mysterious death of his twin brother, was disappointing, way too generic, in part because of the studio's interference. But in their two subsequent collaborations, the Hong Kong filmmaker managed to make the best of the actor. In Replicant, in which Jean-Claude is the clone of a serial killer who helps the police to put an end to the murder spree of its original, and in Hell, in which he experiences the harsh life in a Russian prison. Van Damme gives it all, is constantly humiliated, and exposes his character's weaknesses as well as his own. These two films are amongst the last notable piece of works from the Muscles from Brussels. Since these different collaborations with Hong Kong filmmakers, Jean-Claude Van Damme's career has slowly but surely fallen into the purgatory of direct-to-video cinema. But the actor hasn't given up the city, quite the opposite. He usually stays half of his time there, living in one of the very expensive apartments from one of the towers next to the ICC. This presence explains he appears sometimes on local TV, that he was a tourism ambassador for the city, or that he shoots often in the neighboring Guangdong, like his recent Pound of Flesh. For the better and the worse, Jean-Claude Van Damme has a symbiotic relationship with Hong Kong. Thank you for having watched this video. Don't hesitate to post your question or observation in the comment section below. I will do another video to answer them. Until then, I hope to see you back soon on the House of Asian Cinema.